Welcome to Dreamland Sleep. My name is Alice, your host, and I will be taking you on your journey tonight. In a time long past, where gods and goddesses ruled the cosmos from the heights of Mount Olympus, and the realm of the wild was ruled by the silver light of the moon, there lived Artemis the Huntress, daughter of Zeus and Leto, and the twin sister of Apollo, the sun god. She was the embodiment of the untamed wild, the unfettered spirit of nature. She moved with the grace of a running deer, quiet as the night wind, sharp as the eagle's gaze, and swift as the arrow loosed from her silver bow. Artemis was unlike any other goddess of the Greek pantheon. From the moment of her birth on the rugged island of Delos, Artemis had been destined for a life that diverged from the beaten path. She had asked her father Zeus for eternal virginity, setting herself apart from the many love affairs and scandals that seemed to define the lives of the Olympian gods and goddesses. Her request had been granted, and the young goddess grew into her role with an unwavering resolve. Her heart belonged to the wild, from the towering mountains to the dense forests, from the swift rivers to the peaceful meadows. Artemis was at home in the company of animals and nature. Her most faithful companions were the Oceanids, sea nymphs, and the 60 daughters of Okeanos, who, like Artemis, revelled in the wilderness's beauty. Together they roamed the forests, hunting beasts and bathing in the clear springs hidden beneath the woodland's canopy. She was a protector, a provider, and a friend to the wild creatures that crossed her path. To Artemis, hunting was more than a mere pursuit. It was a dance, an art form. With her silver bow, a gift from the Cyclops, she was an unmatched archer. She moved through the forest like a shadow, her feet barely rustling the leaves, her eyes keenly scanning the surroundings. The bowstring would sing, and her arrow would find its mark, always quick, clean, and merciful. But the goddess of the hunt was not merely a deadly huntress. She was a paradox, embodying the cruel yet necessary law of the wild, the cycle of life and death. For every creature she hunted, she protected countless others. She watched over the young and the weak, nurtured them, guarded them from predators. She was the gentle breeze and the storm, the rain that quenched the earth's thirst, and the fire that rejuvenated the forest by clearing the old to make way for the new. She was the moon goddess, her silver aura reflecting her radiant purity and strength, casting a calming glow over the nocturnal world. Artemis shone brightly in the night sky, serving as a beacon for lost travelers, a comforting presence in the face of the encroaching dark. Her light was a symbol of hope, a testament to her protective nature, and an extension of her indomitable spirit. Despite her fierce independence, Artemis cherished her bond with her twin brother Apollo. They shared a unique connection, one forged from the moment they were born. From a young age, they competed, learnt, and grew together, their lives intricately woven around their shared love for archery and hunting. Yet their paths were distinct, While Apollo basked in the glory of the sun, Artemis revelled in the tranquility of the moonlit wilderness. In Artemis, the ancients saw the embodiment of purity, strength, and the untamed spirit of nature. Through her, they respected the wilderness and its creatures, understanding the delicate balance of life and death, strength and vulnerability. She was an inspiration, an emblem of unyielding resolve and unwavering principles. She was Artemis, the eternal maiden, the Huntress, the moonlit goddess who ruled the wilderness. And as the cycle of day and night turned and the seasons changed, a new chapter awaited in the life of Artemis. It would bring with it adventure, companionship, joy, and sorrow. It would challenge her resolve, question her principles, and test her strength. The tale yet to unfold would become one of the most poignant narratives in the rich tapestry of Greek mythology, the tale of Artemis and Orion. Apollo was the sun god, twin to Artemis, his radiant, shimmering visage a stark contrast to the cool, ethereal glow of his sister. He held domain over the realms of music, prophecy, and healing, while also sharing Artemis's fervor for hunting and archery. Together, they formed two halves of the day, the celestial cycle between night and day. Apollo personified the warmth and vitality of the daylight hours, while Artemis represented the calm tranquility of the night. Their bond was unique, a relationship forged in the crucible of divinity. Born of Zeus and Leto, they had been thrust into the world together and had stood by each other's side ever since. They often hunted together, their arrows imbued with celestial power, flying true, striking down their targets with flawless precision. Apollo, in his shining golden chariot, would ride across the sky, bringing day to the world, while Artemis, in her silver one, would traverse the heavens during the night, the luminescent orb of the moon in her stead. Despite their close bond, there was an undeniable disconnect. Artemis, the more solitary of the two, often disappeared into the forests for days, sometimes weeks, her nymph companions her only company. She revelled in the wilderness, her soul intertwined with the untouched landscapes of ancient Greece. Her commitment to her hunting, to her nymphs, and to the wilds often left Apollo feeling sidelined, a mere observer in his twin's life. His heart ached to be more involved in her world, to be more than just a peripheral figure. But every time he attempted to step in, Artemis, fiercely independent, would gently but firmly keep him at bay. Apollo admired Artemis for her strength, her dedication, and her unwavering commitment to her ideals. It was these qualities, among others, that had led her to take a vow of eternal chastity, a vow that Apollo both respected and feared. He admired her for her conviction, her ability to commit so completely to a life devoid of romantic entanglements. But he also feared what such a vow meant. His sister had completely shut herself off from the prospect of love, barricading her heart against any potential suitors. For a god who himself revelled in the joys of love, who had a long list of lovers and countless tales of romantic exploits. This was a concept he found hard to grasp. He could not fathom why his sister, so full of life and passion, would choose to lead such a life. But in his heart, he knew that it was not his place to question her choices. He could only respect her decisions, even if he didn't understand them. However, Apollo's biggest worry lay in the uncertainty of Artemis's future. He wondered with a growing sense of unease what would happen if someone were to come along who would challenge her resolve. Would his sister remain steadfast in her vow, or would she falter? This thought nagged at him, a quiet whisper of doubt that refused to be silenced. His fears were soon to be tested. For unbeknownst to Apollo, a figure was fast approaching that would cause ripples in the calm lake of Artemis's existence. His name was Orion, and his entrance onto the scene would forever change the lives of the divine twins, bringing joy and sorrow in equal measures. Little did Apollo know that he himself would play a significant role in the tumultuous events that lay ahead. In the wild, untamed expanses of the ancient Greek wilderness, there was a man who had earned a formidable reputation that spread far and wide. He was known for his superior strength, his unmatched bravery, his unparalleled hunting skills, and his peerless beauty. This man was Orion, the mighty hunter, a mere mortal who had become a legend in his own right. Orion was born into a humble beginning, yet he did not let it define him. Instead, he used it as fuel, propelling himself to heights that many believed were only meant for the gods. Day after day, he would venture into the thickets, facing dangerous beasts and embracing nature in its rawest, most untamed form. He sought not to conquer, but to coexist, to understand and respect the creatures he shared his world with, making him unique among his fellow hunters. He stood tall, his physique an embodiment of power and endurance, a testament to his daily battles with nature. His eyes were sharp as an eagle's, reflecting his acute awareness and understanding of the wilderness. His hands, though roughened by years of wielding his weapon, were gentle when it came to caring for wounded animals, revealing a compassionate side beneath his rugged exterior. Orion's bravery was a beacon that guided his path, taking him on countless adventures. His stories were shared and retold around flickering campfires, entrancing those who listened with tales of his exploits, of his narrow escapes from monstrous beasts, and his battles won by sheer strength and cunning. Yet, amid all his adventures, he carried a sense of solitude, a quiet understanding of the loneliness that his prowess entailed. He was set apart, singular in his abilities, and that made him both revered and alone. His love for adventure was matched only by his profound respect for nature. Where others saw the wilderness as a place to conquer and subdue, Orion saw a realm that demanded respect, a world of creatures who deserved his understanding and compassion. This respect did not weaken him. Instead, it fortified him, granting him an unprecedented understanding of the wilderness that made him an even greater hunter. Orion had the heart of a wanderer, always eager to uncover the mysteries of the forests and the seas, never settling, never tiring. His spirit was as untamed as the wilderness he embraced. There was an air of unquenchable curiosity about him, a thirst for understanding the natural world that drove him to explore places few dared to venture. Yet, despite his accomplishments, Orion was a mortal. He was not privy to the immortality and divine powers of the gods. He bore wounds from his battles, carried the scars of his adventures, and acknowledged the inevitability of his mortality. But it was his very mortality, his human resilience in the face of countless dangers, that made his tales fascinating and his legend inspiring. The man was a paradox, a symbol of power and sensitivity, bravery and understanding, solitude and camaraderie. As Orion ventured deeper into the wilderness, he was oblivious to how his life was about to intertwine with the divine, to create a tale that would be echoed through millennia. Unbeknownst to him, his path was leading him toward an encounter that would transform his life and etch his name forever among the stars. This was Orion, the legendary hunter, a mortal of exceptional qualities, whose life was a testament to courage, respect, and an undying love for adventure. Little did he know that his journey was about to enter an extraordinary new chapter, where he would encounter gods and goddesses, where his strength would be tested and his legacy sealed among the constellations of the endless night sky. Artemis, goddess of the hunt, had always been independent and content with her solitary existence. The forest was her kingdom, the animals her subjects, and her nymph companions her loyal court. The silver bow she carried was not just a weapon, but a symbol of her dominion over the wilderness and her skill as a huntress. However, her life, ordered around the hunt and her duties, was about to change with the appearance of an unexpected visitor. Orion was unlike anyone Artemis had ever encountered. A renowned hunter, he was known far and wide for his impressive stature and extraordinary skills. His life was one of ceaseless wonder, his existence defined by the wild and the thrill of the hunt. He too had chosen a life of solitude, but his was a path of survival and thrill rather than dedication to a divine purpose. Their worlds collided on a day that began like any other. Artemis was leading her nymphs on a hunt, their feet barely making a sound on the forest floor, their eyes alert for any sign of their prey. As they moved through the dense undergrowth, Artemis's sharp eyes spotted a figure in the distance. It was Orion, engaged in his own hunt. His focus was so intense, his movements so fluid, that Artemis and her companions couldn't help but stop and watch. They saw him take down a stag with a single clean shot, a feat that could only be accomplished by someone with extraordinary skills and a deep understanding of the animal they were hunting. Intrigued and impressed, Artemis stepped out from her cover, breaking the silence with the crunch of leaves under her feet. Orion turned, surprise flashing in his eyes as he saw the goddess and her companions emerge from the shadows. Artemis introduced herself and her nymphs, her respect for Orion's skills evident in her words. The initial surprise faded from Orion's face, replaced by a warm smile. He had heard of the goddess Artemis, her impressive skills, and her rule over the wilderness. To meet her in person, however, was something he had not anticipated. Despite their vastly different lives, they found common ground in their shared love for hunting and animals. Artemis, who had always been cautious about who she allowed in her circle, found herself extending an invitation to Orion. She saw a kindred spirit in him, someone who understood her deep connection with the wilderness and respected it. Orion accepted, intrigued by the enigmatic Huntress and the promise of shared adventures. Orion's inclusion in Artemis's world did not disrupt it as one might expect. Instead, it brought a new dimension to it. The hunts were more thrilling, the evenings filled with shared stories and experiences, and a bond of mutual respect and admiration blossomed between them. The friendship between the celestial goddess and the solitary hunter seemed unlikely to the nymphs and to Orion himself initially. However, Artemis had always followed her instincts, and her instincts told her that inviting Orion into her life was the right decision. Little did she know then that this decision would set in motion events that would forever change their lives. In the meantime, as Orion started becoming a part of Artemis's life, the forest seemed to come even more alive. The goddess, for the first time, found herself looking forward to the hunts, not just for the thrill of the chase, but also for the companionship. The unlikely encounter had led to an even unlikelier friendship. But even as the joy of new companionship filled Artemis's life, the winds of change were beginning to stir, hinting at the trials that were yet to come. Amidst the emerald curtain of the forests, Artemis and Orion found a companionship forged in respect, adventures, and a shared passion for the untamed wild. Their bond was not immediate, but gradually nurtured through countless hunts, shared meals, and whispers of secrets beneath the canvas of the starlit night. Orion, a solitary figure who had only known the company of the beasts he hunted, was suddenly surrounded by laughter, the tender concern of Artemis, and the sprightly companionship of her nymphs. However, he was most drawn to Artemis, whose radiant moonlight seemed to cast an ethereal glow around her. Artemis, the chaste huntress, with her silver bow and sharp gaze, was unlike anyone Orion had ever met. He admired her strength, her wild freedom, and the deep reverence she had for the life that populated the woods. Meanwhile, Artemis was captivated by Orion's humility, despite his towering stature and immense hunting skills. His respect for the animals he hunted, the way he only took what was necessary, was a mirror to her own philosophy. The way Orion would weave tales of his exploits and adventures, his voice low but rich like the rustling of leaves, filled their evenings with enchantment. The silent woods listened, the stars watched, and the moon cast its silvery sheen as their bond deepened. Long conversations over fireside roasts turned into shared laughs, and hunts became joint ventures, each of them learning and teaching, all the while growing closer. But Artemis was no ordinary maiden, and her vow of chastity weighed heavily upon her. The connection she felt with Orion was unlike anything she had ever experienced. It was a strange paradox, a struggle between her divine decree and mortal-like emotion. Yet, she could not deny the camaraderie, the unspoken bond that had formed between them. She found herself wrestling with emotions that stirred within her every time Orion smiled or called her name. The mere thought of his presence ignited a warmth within her, which was both exhilarating and terrifying. Orion, for his part, was also profoundly affected by Artemis. The radiant goddess, who moved like the wind and commanded the respect of all, had somehow found a friend in him. It was a friendship he cherished, and at the same time, he was aware of the cautious distance Artemis maintained, a testament to her sacred vow. He respected her dedication, and even though he longed for a deeper relationship, he dared not broach the topic. Their relationship was a delicate dance, a balance they both tried to maintain. A word left unsaid, a glance not exchanged, a touch not indulged. They were two hunters, two friends, two beings caught in an emotional whirlwind amidst the grandeur of the wild. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, their bond seemed to echo through the wilderness. The forest thrived on their harmony, the animals aware of their unusual bond, and the nymphs whispering tales of their companionship. They were two individuals connected by the thread of respect, adventure, and a profound understanding of each other. Yet, under the scrutiny of the heavenly bodies, beneath the watchful eyes of the sun god Apollo, their relationship would soon face a trial like no other. A trial that was destined to reshape their lives, the constellations, and the stories whispered in the hallowed halls of Olympus. But until then, the wilderness thrived, and so did the bond between Artemis, the moonlit goddess, and Orion, the renowned hunter. The sun was beginning its descent, painting the sky with hues of orange and red as Artemis, accompanied by her loyal nymphs, returned from a day of hunting. They chattered joyously, their hearts filled with the thrill of the chase. Artemis, however, was silent, her mind preoccupied with thoughts of Orion. His strength, his laughter, his camaraderie had begun to mean more to her than she cared to admit. The two had formed a deep bond, a bond that not only stemmed from their shared love for the wilderness and hunting, but also from a mutual understanding and respect that was rare to find. In the distance, Apollo, the radiant sun god, observed this scene with a growing unease. He loved his sister dearly, admired her dedication to their shared passion for hunting, respected her vow of chastity, and yet he found himself troubled by her relationship with Orion. Apollo, the god of prophecy, could not see what the future held for his sister and the hunter, but the mere possibility of Artemis breaking her vow was enough to send waves of fear and jealousy coursing through his veins. With every passing day, Apollo's concern grew into apprehension. He noticed the spark in Artemis's eyes when she spoke of Orion, saw the way her laughter echoed a bit longer when Orion shared his tales, observed the silent conversations they had, their eyes speaking volumes. Apollo was used to having his twin sister by his side, their souls bonded by the shared womb, shared passions, and shared adventures. The idea of someone else occupying a space so deeply personal was unbearable. Tormented by jealousy and the fear of losing his sister to the mortal, Apollo devised a sinister plan. He knew he couldn't attack Orion directly. He was too strong, too capable. Instead, he decided to use Artemis's impeccable archery skills against Orion. It was a cruel plan, one that exploited Artemis's trust in him, but his fears had overpowered his better judgment. One fateful day, Apollo approached Artemis as she was practicing her archery. Pointing to a distant figure in the sea, he challenged her. "See that creature there, sister? I wager you cannot hit it from here," he declared, knowing fully well that Artemis never backed away from a challenge. Artemis squinted, her gaze focusing on the figure in the distance. She couldn't make out what it was, but the challenge had been issued, and she was determined to prove her skills. With a swift motion, she notched an arrow and let it fly. The arrow soared through the air, guided by her unmatched skill, and found its mark. She expected Apollo to acknowledge her prowess, but instead, a silence settled between them. It was a silence that seemed to drain the joy from the world, leaving a cold dread in its place. For it was not a creature that Artemis had shot, but Orion, who had been enjoying a swim in the sea. Apollo's trick had worked, but the victory felt hollow as he watched the horror dawn on his sister's face. Artemis rushed to Orion's side, but it was too late. Orion, the great hunter, her dear friend, was no more. Artemis was a goddess, but in that moment she felt as mortal as any human. A deep sorrow consumed her, followed by an overwhelming guilt. It was her arrow, her shot that had ended Orion's life. The news of Orion's death spread, sending shockwaves through the wilderness and the heavens. The animals mourned, the nymphs wept, and even the heavens seemed to darken in grief. But none felt the loss as deeply as Artemis. She had lost a friend, a confidant, and in a tragic twist of fate, she was the one responsible. Thus ended the day that would forever be marked as a dark memory in the hearts of all those who knew Orion. As the sun disappeared beneath the horizon and the moon claimed the sky, Artemis found herself alone in her grief. The joy of the hunt replaced with a pain that seemed to echo endlessly in the vast wilderness. Artemis stood on the shore, the salty tang of the sea air doing little to distract her from the grief that threatened to consume her. Her silver bow, usually a symbol of her power and authority, hung limply in her hand, now an instrument of destruction and loss. Her arrow, loosed in jest and mistaken belief, had taken the life of the one person who had matched her spirit, who had understood her connection to the wilderness like no other. Orion, her companion, her confidant, and her friend, was gone. The nymphs who usually accompanied Artemis in her hunts and dances were silent, watching their goddess in shared mourning, their eyes heavy with tears. The animals, too, seemed to sense the melancholy that gripped the wilderness, their calls subdued in a tribute to the great hunter who had once roamed their midst. Artemis's mind replayed the moments leading up to Orion's death, the memory a fresh wound. Artemis sunk to her knees, the waves lapping at her feet. Her heart ached with loss and regret. She had lost a friend, an equal, a part of herself that she had found and nurtured in Orion. The void left by his death seemed insurmountable, the silence left by his laughter and stories, deafening. The days following Orion's death were shrouded in a heavy blanket of melancholy that seemed to mute the vibrant colours of the wilderness. The once vibrant and joyful Artemis now moved with an air of quiet sadness, her face perpetually etched with the pain of loss. Her laughter, once the most cheerful sound in the woods, was replaced by the constant whisper of sorrow that rustled in the leaves of the forest. In her solitude, Artemis spent countless hours staring at the night sky, her fingers tracing the constellations she had memorized since her youth. Each star, a story, a god, or a legend. Now they were reminders of the friend she had lost. One night, as she gazed at the dark canvas above, an idea sprang into her mind. She had the power to create a new constellation, a way to honor her fallen friend, an eternal tribute to Orion, the hunter. Her heart pounding with newfound purpose, she weaved the magic only a goddess could. The transformation of the night sky was miraculous, as a new constellation was etched amongst the cosmos. Orion, the hunter, was no longer a mere mortal tale, but an everlasting constellation that would forever tell his story. His belt, his sword, his bow, each star was strategically placed to represent the valiant Orion that Artemis had come to respect and cherish. Each night, Artemis would stare at the constellation she had made, each star an embodiment of Orion's spirit. This act, a tribute to her friend, was also a reflection of her own grief and guilt. She had failed him once. She would not allow his memory to be lost in the annals of time. Yet not all felt the grief that Artemis bore. In the golden halls of Olympus, the gods watched the drama unfold. Among them, Apollo watched his sister's actions with mixed feelings. Jealousy and regret gnawed at his heart. His actions had not only taken away a skilled hunter, but had also stripped his sister of a cherished companion. A sense of guilt washed over him, and yet he could not bring himself to admit his mistake, let alone apologize. The tragic tale of Artemis and Orion was more than just a story of friendship and loss. It was a grim reminder of the catastrophic consequences of misunderstandings and the devastation brought about by unfounded jealousy. It emphasized that even gods, despite their immortality and power, were not immune to feelings of grief and guilt. Moreover, it shed light on the profound bond shared by Artemis and Orion, a bond born out of mutual respect and love for nature. It wasn't romance in the traditional sense, but it was a connection so deep that it transcended mortal boundaries and found a place among the stars. The narrative of Artemis and Orion still echoes in the night sky, a silent reminder of the fallen hunter and the grieving goddess. The constellation of Orion shines brightly each night, an immortal tribute from a guilt-ridden goddess to her dear companion. The tale, immortalized in the cosmos, is not just a part of Greek mythology, but also a timeless narrative that continues to captivate, serving as a poignant reminder of love, loss, and the enduring power of friendship.